The moment that makes a woman completely lose control in bed. It's not love, it's not emotion, it's not even the conversation you had over dinner. It's that one split second when she feels like her own body is no longer hers to command. And most men have absolutely no idea how to create that moment. I'm Dr. Ava Remington. I've spent over 20 years in clinical practice specializing in intimacy, relationships, and sexual wellness for couples over 50. And I can tell you right now, and the number one mistake I see men make, decade after decade, is believing that more touching equals more pleasure. That if you just keep going, keep stroking, keep rubbing the same spot long enough, she'll eventually get there. She won't. In fact, most women I've counseled have told me some version of the same thing behind closed doors. They say, I just lie there and wait for it to be over. He keeps touching me in the same place, the same way, and I feel nothing. That's not a failure of desire, that's a failure of approach. But here's what's fascinating, and I mean truly fascinating. Some men, and it's a small number, can place one hand on a woman's body and within seconds her breathing changes. Her legs shift. Her eyes go soft. No technique manual, no lotion, no acrobatics. Just one hand in the right place at the right time. So what's the difference between the man who puts her to sleep and the man who wakes her entire body up? It comes down to one thing: understanding her sensory triggers, the hidden points on her body that she herself may not even know about. The places she's never asked you to touch because she didn't know they could make her feel that way. That's exactly what I'm going to walk you through today. I'll show you where to touch, where to absolutely never touch first, and how two real men in their late 60s and early 70s completely transformed their intimate lives using nothing but their fingertips. Before we get into it, if you're watching this channel for the first time, go ahead and hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and if this video helps you tonight, and I believe it will, share it with a friend who might need to hear this too. All right, let's get into it. The first thing I need you to understand is that a woman's body doesn't have one magic button. It's not a single spot you press and suddenly she's ready. It's a sequence, a flow. It involves pressure, warmth, rhythm, direction, and most importantly, timing. And the very first place you should touch her is not her chest. It's not between her legs. It's not even her neck, though that's a popular guess. It's her back. Specifically, the area starting just below her shoulder blades and running down to the curve of her lower back. Right along that middle zone, that part of her body holds an incredible concentration of nerve endings. And for most women, especially women over 40 and 50, it's also where they carry tension. Stress from the day, stress from the week, stress from years of feeling like intimacy became a chore rather than a connection. So here's what you do. Place your full palm, not just your fingertips, your entire palm, flat against that area, and move it downward, slowly, almost like you're barely touching her at all, like your hand is floating just above her skin. While you do this, bring your mouth close to her ear, not to say anything, just to breathe. Let her feel the warmth of your breath near her earlobe. What happens next is subtle but unmistakable. She'll flinch slightly. Her shoulders might rise just a little. That's not discomfort. That's her nervous system waking up. Her body isn't ready yet, but her senses just switched on. That's your green light to continue, not to rush. To continue. From her back, let your hand drift around to her side. That soft, fleshy space between her lowest rib and the top of her hip. Most women won't tell you this area is sensitive. They might not even know it themselves. But clinically, it's one of the first places where heart rate and breathing begin to shift during arousal. Touch it lightly. Don't use a pattern. Don't go in circles. Be unpredictable. Let your fingers wander without any obvious intention, like you're absent-mindedly tracing something on her skin. This does something very specific to her brain. It prevents her from anticipating what comes next. And when a woman can't predict your next move, her body starts paying very close attention. She won't be able to explain it, but somewhere inside she's thinking, why does this feel so intense? And here's the thing, you haven't even undressed her yet. You haven't gone anywhere near the places most men rush toward. But already, her body is beginning to respond in ways she didn't expect. Now comes the moment that separates the men who understand women's bodies from the men who just guess. You move your fingertips from her side slowly around to the front, toward her lower belly, that soft skin just above the waistband of her underwear. But, and this is critical, you don't approach it from the front. You come from the side at an angle, brushing across that area diagonally, almost like your hand just happened to end up there. The moment you do this, if you followed the sequence, she will exhale, not a small breath, a deep one she couldn't hold back if she tried. That exhale is her body telling you it's responding before her mind gave permission. That's the moment most men have never experienced, because they've never taken the time to get there. But I need to warn you, this is also the exact moment where most men make their biggest mistake. They feel that response, they hear that breath, and they think, okay, she's ready, time to go. They slide their hand down too fast. They try to remove clothing. They skip ahead. And the second they do that, her body tenses up. The arousal stops. The magic disappears. Because what opened her up wasn't intensity. It was the unexpected rhythm. The not knowing what comes next. The moment you become predictable, she shuts down. So instead of going lower, go to her inner thighs. Not the top. Not near her groin. I'm talking about the soft skin on the inside of her leg, halfway between her knee and her hip. That strip of skin is thin, loaded with nerve endings, and almost never touched during everyday life. Take both hands, place them on the insides of both thighs, and very, very slowly, with almost no pressure, spread them apart. Just slightly. If she's been properly warmed up, if you followed the flow, her hips will rise on their own. Her pelvis will tilt upward. You didn't ask her to open up. You didn't push. Her body chose to. That's the difference between a man who demands access and a man who earns it. And I promise you, she knows the difference. Now I want to tell you about the last piece, the one almost nobody teaches, and frankly, the one most men get completely wrong. It's about your mouth, not kissing, not even licking in the way you might think. Most men go straight for the nipple or straight for her genitals with their tongue. And yes, those areas are sensitive, but the spot that will truly make her lose control is about a centimeter below her nipple, tracing outward along the lower curve of her breast. Use just the tip of your tongue. Don't make full contact. Hover. Let your breath cover the area while your tongue barely grazes the skin in a slow arcing motion. Don't complete the circle. Leave her wanting. At that point, she will do something she almost never does. She'll push her body towards you. She'll whisper something like, "Don't stop." And she won't be performing. She won't be faking. She'll mean it with every nerve in her body. Let me tell you about a man named Richard. He's 68 years old, lives outside of Tampa, Florida. Married to his wife, Carol, for 31 years. He told me during a consultation that for the last decade, their bedroom had become completely silent. No touching, no eye contact in bed. They'd lie side by side like two strangers on a bus. He said he still loved her, still found her beautiful, but he had no idea how to reach her anymore. One evening, after watching one of my earlier videos, Richard decided to try something. Carol was sitting on the couch after cleaning up the kitchen. He walked over, sat beside her, and without saying a word, placed his hand on her lower back. He didn't grip. He didn't squeeze. He just let his palm rest there and slowly moved it downward along her spine. Carol's shoulder twitched. She didn't say anything. Richard kept going, hand drifting to her side, then around to her belly, then featherlight across her hip. That night, for the first time in years, Carol reached for his hand under the covers and pulled it toward her. No words, just her hand on his. Richard told me later, his voice cracking, "I felt like I was touching my wife for the first time again, and all I did was slow down." Then there's James, 72, retired teacher from outside Chicago. He'd been with his second wife, Diane, for about 5 years. Their physical relationship had always been cautious, both of them carrying baggage from previous marriages. One night, James tried something he'd never done before. He traced one finger along the inside of Diane's thigh. Slowly, no destination in mind. She laughed nervously and said, "That tickles." But she didn't move away. James told me that's when he knew. That nervous laugh wasn't rejection. It was her body standing at the edge, deciding whether to jump. He didn't stop. He brought his lips to the back of her shoulder, just below her neck, and breathed warm air across her skin. Diane shivered. Her whole back trembled, and she whispered something he'll never forget. "How did you know to do that?" He didn't learn it from a manual. He learned it from paying attention, from slowing down, from treating her body like something worth discovering rather than something to conquer. Both of these men did the same thing. They didn't touch harder. They didn't touch longer. They touched smarter. They found the places their wives didn't even know were sensitive, and they approached those places with patience instead of urgency. And that single shift changed everything. Now, there's one more thing I want to address, because I get this question more often than you'd think, especially from men in their 60s and 70s. A lot of you are dealing with something that's disrupting your sleep and your confidence. You wake up at 2 in the morning fully aroused and you can't get back to sleep. Or you find that your body responds at inconvenient times and you don't know what to do with that energy. I want you to know that's completely normal. It doesn't mean something is wrong with you. Nighttime arousal in older men is often tied to REM sleep cycles, blood flow patterns, and even stress. It's your body's way of telling you that desire is still very much alive. Don't fight it. Don't be embarrassed by it. And if you have a partner, consider that those early morning hours might actually be the perfect time to practice what I've taught you today. Some of the deepest intimacy happens when the world is quiet and there's nowhere else to be. If it's genuinely disrupting your rest on a regular basis, mention it to your doctor. There are simple, straightforward solutions. But please hear me when I say this. Your body's still wanting connection at 70, at 75, at 80. That's not a problem. That's a gift. Let me bring it all together for you. A woman doesn't respond to being touched on her genitals first. What truly opens her up is the unexpected. Fingertips and warm breath arriving at places she didn't even know were sensitive. The lower back, the curve of her waist, the inside of her thighs, the soft skin below her navel, the area just beneath and around her nipple, not on it. The key is slowness over speed, subtlety over intention, patience over desire. Let your hands move without a clear destination, but when you find the spot that makes her breath catch, don't rush past it. Stay there. And then do something counterintuitive. Pause, pull back slightly. Because the moment you take that sensation away, she'll come to you. She'll reach for your hand. She'll pull you closer. And for the first time in maybe years, she won't be going through the motions. She'll genuinely want you. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Start with her back. No words, just your hand. Let it drift to her side, her belly, her hips. Read her breathing. Watch her shoulders. Feel for the subtle shifts, the flinch, the exhale, the moment her body tilts toward yours. If you do this with patience and genuine care, you won't need to ask for anything. She'll give it to you freely. Love isn't a technique. Touch isn't a skill you master from a checklist. It's about waking up sensation through presence and patience. It's about letting her discover feelings in her own body that she forgot existed. And it's about showing her, without a single word, that you're the man who pays attention. That's how you stay vital. That's how you stay connected. That's how a man at any age becomes the one she reaches for in the dark. I hope tonight is different for you. I hope this changes not just what happens in your bedroom, but how you see yourself as a partner. Because intimacy has no expiration date. Sensation doesn't retire, and the connection between two people who've shared a lifetime together, that can be reignited with nothing more than a single well-placed touch. Thank you for watching. If this helped you, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Your night can change starting tonight. I'm Dr. Ava Remington, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other.